Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, today within our data modeling, warehouse and ETL series, we will look at what what can be the requirements for a data warehouse, how we will set up our destination staging area, and how do we proceed once we know that we need to create an environment. How do we proceed after that? So let's dive right into it. Well, let's start with the requirements because, as I always say, and I think I've mentioned it before as well, requirement is the most important part of any project and you must get it right. Traditionally, we had requirements, as we can see in this slide, that for reporting and dashboarding as well. We needed data warehouses because the OLTP systems, one, couldn't handle the load. Second, they just there was so many sources that to get a unified report was not possible. To have a single source of truth, which data is true, which is not, all these problems. So that's where data warehousing came in, and to offload even not just the sources of truth or uh, any of this kind of stuff. I remember in the olden days, I would kind of date myself, but in the olden days we used to have reports running all night. I mean, on OLTP systems actually, and I'm talking about a government agency. Second is the what we have now, and increasingly what we have is the requirement for mobile apps. Now mobile apps are basically have changed the landscape completely. What it has done is that because they are pulling data continuously even when they are not active, that has increased and added thousands of users, if not hundreds of thousands of users, that are constantly pulling data and overloading the existing system. And in that scenario, again, we have to go either for data warehouse, or if we or the shops or the companies which already have data warehousing implemented, you have to change or implement some sort of architecture that can handle that. But that said, I think that is a discussion for a later video, how we can handle that. And there are certain architectural patterns that we can use. But for now, let's carry on with what we are doing. Okay, requirements gathering. Okay, one more thing, just to give you an example. I mean, in our simple source OLTP databases, and what data we're going to pull. So what sort of reports we would create, and that sometimes that's what the requirement would be, that we want to run XYZ reports and we are having trouble running those reports. Now, I always say, actually, it's not me, it's Rolf Kimball, the person who actually created the dimensional modeling, that you should not create a data warehouse to run one report. You always follow the dimensional model, which will serve the entire enterprise. Yes, you can go the agile way and do what is needed first instead of just creating the entire thing in one go. Yes, you should, and actually you must follow the agile way. But these are some sort of reports. I mean, you can see the top few reports, they are just querying the fact tables from one fact table. But if you move down to end-to-end order flow, you can see that there are multiple fact tables are being queried. That actually is multiple databases that have been queried. So for that kind of environment, it's actually very important. Okay, so as we saw, and that's how it would be, the enterprise bus architecture, where we've got create bunch of dimensions and they are used by facts, because facts are basically real life transactions, and these dimensions are the attributes of that transaction. For example, an item being sold in order items fact table, what it would provide, the dimensions would provide, is the attributes like customer name, like the city where it's gone to or shipped to, or which warehouse was it shipped from. So what textbook says really is, keep your numbers as much as possible. It's not always possible, but keep your numbers in your fact tables and keep your attributes and supporting data in your dimension tables, and those dimensions are then shared all over your data warehouse between different data marts. Okay, let's go forward. There's just a diagram of pretty much exactly what we are aiming for. As we go along, we might have to change something, but that's again agile way of doing it. We're not gonna create everything in one go, but this is something like this. And remember, when we are doing database design, be it OLTP, be it data warehouse, be it data lakehouse, whatever we are designing, yes, you should have some sort of layout of what we are doing. Yes, we have, you should create a logical, conceptual, logical, physical designs. But what we see lately, and with how the agile system works, that these, yeah, you can have those markers there to define attributes and entities, but they will change, and their connections will change as your product would evolve within development and sometimes within support as well. Okay, ETL and staging, that's where we are going next, and that's the important part right now, the most important part right now. ETL, what we are doing in ETL in staging area. Well, basically what we are just copying the same tables that we have in our source OLTP and just adding a couple of columns to that. For example, batch ID, operation type, and load timestamp. What operation type is insert, update, delete. We're not gonna go, as I mentioned, into slowly changing dimensions just yet. So we would basically just update the dimensions as well. I think it's called type 0, where we don't keep track. Then we've got batch ID is which batch this data came in, or which batch has run, and the timestamp. Two more very important things here is on the right side, these two tables. Now, when I was watching before starting on this playlist or on this series of ETL and data modeling, I saw a lot of people have created videos and they run simple steps, one step at a time, where they say, all right, we take data from this source, we transform it, and we put it in here, and magic, you see the transformed data. But I don't remember seeing anyone who's actually talking about that. You just don't do that. You have to have some sort of control table controlling your batches. You must have your transformation tables to control your data lineage and transformations. And these are extremely important for us to track what is coming and where is it going. And generally speaking, at every layer, staging, integration, presentation, we should have separate transformations and control tables. But in small shops, I have seen that they just create one set of tables for everything. But we would create separate for every layer. Once our staging is done, we created that, then we can start putting in our data. Now, how data is, as within the last demo, I think I've already mentioned it, we will use Airflow to get data out of source and into staging. Why? Because at this point in time, first of all, it's the easiest and simplest way, and we don't want to complicate things. At a later point, we can use something like Kafka or NiFi to prove the point, like maybe take one source as NiFi and one as Kafka and one with Airflow as a batch. But we will see. That's not important right now. Right now, what we are working on is towards the concept of how ETL should look like and how should it be performed, as in like governed and performed. So our Airflow is gonna run our batch loading into staging. Once that is done, we are gonna be doing, so basically that is extract and load. And we're going to do transformation within the destination in different layers, in different schemas, or you can use different databases as well. But in our case, we would use different databases. In different databases, we would run DBT. DBT is a data build tool. Beauty of DBT is just simple SQL. You define your models and your SQL, and basically your queries run. So it's very easy for DBAs. And it actually harnesses the power of your DBMS, so you don't need an external engine like Airflow, Spark, or let's say Informatica, for example, or Golden Gate. So we don't need an external DBMS engine. handles the data itself, and because the data is already in the DBMS, it actually has all the statistics about the data, and it does a very good job in handling that data and performing all that tasks. So we have covered our staging. We're going to take it Airflow, batches, and we have set all that settings in our source databases where we're going to control our batches, and then take the source from with Airflow, copy it into staging, then go on from there. Well, I guess that's it for this presentation, this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a good day.